Hey, welcome everyone. My name is JR. I'm the founder and owner of Business Leaders Network, where our whole mission is to really build a community of emotionally intelligent servant leaders. And today we brought together some amazing entrepreneurs who are doing great things in the world that are impacting the lives, changing the world and what they do. And I'm excited to be able to talk about who they are, what they do, what they bring into the world, and for you guys to hear more about that. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for jumping on here and being guests today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, brother.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to dive into the very first question. I'm going to go to Mr. Yu first. And the question is tell me more about who you are, what you do, and what inspired you. What inspired you to get started doing what you're doing?
Not me first. I'm so new. Okay.
You got the biggest smile on your face. So I was like, I got to say yes to you. So,
I love it, brother. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it. I wear a lot of hats, so just to kind of keep it simple, I'm a multi-show podcaster. I'm an ordained minister, so I do a lot of work in the community with men's groups, things like that. We have a podcast, the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. All men talking men's issues all the time. But along with that, I'm a high performance coach. I do cater to men specifically. I have women who want to be clients, but I cater to men specifically. Men who have bottlenecks in their marriage, in their personal development, perhaps in their business and entrepreneurship, or just in life in general, in regards to their personal development. That's who I serve, and that's what I do every day. So thanks for having me here, JR. I appreciate it, brother, and good to meet everybody here. It's
yeah,
excited to hear more about you guys too.
awesome. Well, you're not done. So, what
Of
inspired you
course.
to do what you do?
Oh, it's a lifetime of just blowing it, making so many mistakes, not walking in full potential. I hate that word, but for lack of a better word, not walking in that and just watching people make the same mistakes and kind of just blowing it in their life. And I just kind of felt like I was always a coach and mentor, even when I didn't want to be.
Mm,
And I decided to go ahead and embrace it. And it's been 30 plus years now. And I'm excited about the growth in me as well as the growth in the people that I serve. So that's kind of my inspiration for this. Just when people allow to be better, being the best version of themselves that they can be. So that's what I help them do.
I love that. You're salty, which is awesome. So in the military, we like to say salty, which is a positive thing. I didn't realize the
Oh,
word
okay.
salty in the civilian world is like a negative thing, but in the
Yeah.
military, salty means wisdom. Like you got experience, you got wisdom in what you do, and so we always look at our senior personnel and be like, man, they're salty, and so we want to learn and grow from them. So take that
Yeah.
as a positive compliment. But yeah,
I'm a
I love
salty
that.
senior.
Yeah, I love
Salty,
that.
I
That's
like that.
awesome. That's why all this
Let's make a
gray hair,
t-shirt.
looks good. So, but
Oh.
no, but you do well. 30 years,
Thank
that's
you,
a
sir.
that's a huge accomplishment for what you do, and I love the fact that you embrace it. I mean, I think in life, all of us we have a moral obligation to teach the younger generation what we have learned and to become better, and that's how this world continues evolves. But if we're not giving back, we're keeping it to ourselves. I think that's being selfish. So the fact
Yes,
that
sir.
you found it, embraced it, and you're giving back to the community, that's awesome. So
Yes,
congrats.
sir.
I
I'm
love that.
trying. Thank you, sir. Thank
So
you.
no, yeah. So Amy, same question to you. Tell us more about who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to get started with this. You're the young one here, but you're doing big things.
Well, my name is Amy Bassos. I'm a real estate investor. So, what I currently do is, besides investing, I created a mentorship group for women on investing. So, I started investing in 2020 as soon as I graduated college, and I've been able to build a portfolio of 7 cash flowing properties, and that has helped me quit my 9 to 5. So, I've realized I've dealt with flooding, tenants getting picked up by the FBI. I've dealt with evictions, all of that stuff, and I felt like all of this happened for a reason, right? And in Christianity, you always have to give back to everything that you've learned. And in my head, I was like, this is all happening for a reason. Let me just teach people on how I do that. So I've created, since I've quit my job, a mentorship program to be able to help women learn on how to invest and buy their first or create their rental portfolio. On top of that, I am currently looking to invest in apartment buildings and hotels for myself. So I'm working with people and other investors and sourcing these deals, valuating them as well, so I can learn to do that for myself and then teach others to do that as well. So I am creating a podcast. So I'm glad that we got into the podcast conversation because I'm looking to actually create a podcast and talk to people who have built their real estate or their empire, right? their business from nothing. And I just really want to, I love learning from others, especially people who have had more experience than me. And I always talk and ask questions to people who are more successful. So I wanted to turn that into a platform in which I can teach others through having conversations with more experienced entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so you're holding back because you have a beautiful story from immigration from your family and stuff like that that led you to the motivation of being a real estate investor. Why don't you share more about that? I didn't know if you wanted to bring it up, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, I just didn't want to take away too much time from everyone, but my family came here from Colombia and Venezuela. Yes, they were immigrants, and my dad would work in anything that he can find, from plumbing, my mom would work in cleaning, and of course, as Latinos, everything is a family business. So I would say 5 years old, putting out business cards. We would sell hallacas, which is a Venezuelan dish, on the street in front of church, garage sales. So they really taught me about entrepreneurship and hard work, which inspired me. But I thought of a way, wow, this is a lot of hard work. I don't want my family to continue working. Is there a way where I can make money without having too much money and be able to find a way to make passive income? And I did all of the research that I can find because my parents weren't very well educated monetarily, and that's where real estate investing came. So I saved up all of my money to be able to invest in real estate, got my real estate license, and that's how I started to get specifically within real estate. So the first commission check that I got went towards renovating my property, and then everything since then, I mean, I was in COVID when people were getting $1,400 checks. Um, I was working three different jobs to be able to reinvest into my properties. Unfortunately, my mom did pass away from cancer, which did give me it hindered my spirituality a little bit in that moment, because I just thought, why, right? Why her? Why her? But one thing that she said always stuck with me is always have your own properties. So thank you. Always have your own properties so you have your own independence, right? And that's why I specifically cater to women, because I've seen a lot of women in difficult situations, bad marriages, and they're just scared to invest, or they feel like they're stuck in their marriages because, the man is usually the one to provide. So I want to inspire other women to have their own portfolio, make their own money, and learn how to invest in real estate. So that's just a little bit of my family background.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And you mind sharing how old you are?
I am 26 years old.
And she's killing it, man. She's killing it. I'm telling you, she's out there doing big things out in Florida.
She's
So
making us
It's
look bad.
it's
yeah,
all God. It's not me, not at all.
yeah, she's doing good things. And just the funny thing is, and I want to share a little bit from our past conversation. Even the amount of accomplishments that you've had this period of time, you still have a little bit of hesitation and belief that you are qualified or good enough or can do this and all these different things. And we all, 30 years of experience, 50 years of experience, it doesn't really matter. We all get into our own headspace of where we're at, thinking like, man, am I good enough for this? Are people going to want to buy from me? And the reality is, God's already qualified all of you, all of us on here. He's already qualified all of us to do what you're doing. It's just a matter, especially when you really look at deep into the heart of the root of where it all started. That was the vision and that seed that God planted inside of you. And because that seed is starting to grow, the enemy wants to come in and destroy that and distract you and keep you from doing what he's truly called you to do. And so you need to keep holding on to that. And just like the death of your mom, which I'm sorry I didn't know that piece about it. Remind me, shoot me a message later. I actually started. I mean, I think I told you, several of you guys on here. I started writing and recording and a lot of worship music and stuff like that. And I'm stepping into what God's called me to do as a worshiper. But the song that I wrote, it's called "Keep Believing," and it falls into the person just like you, where it's saying, the first part of the lyrics is, there are times when I don't feel like praising. There are times when I don't want to give at all. But in those moments, I will keep on praising. In those moments, I will keep on singing. And we have to always remember, even in our worst and the hardest moments of our life, God is still there. He's still wanting to protect you. He's still wanting to care for you. And we need to make sure that we're saying, you know what? I don't want to praise you right now. I don't want to give you anything. I don't even believe in you right now because I'm in the worst of the worst. But I'm going to still give all to you because that's what I believe. And that's the roots that's going to keep pushing you through these
Amen.
tough times. So remind me, I'll shoot it over to you. I finally got the clean version yesterday for my record
Yes.
producer. So So I'll send it over to you. It's a beautiful song. Cool. Well, I'm going to go to Kevin and then we'll go to Chuck. So, Kevin, same question to you. Tell us more about the amazing things you're doing, the impact you're making in the world, and what inspires you to get started doing it.
Yeah, so my story's a little bit like you, which not you, but you. Which is I do a bunch of different things. I've had a couple of podcasts. I actually have 4 businesses and 8 brands, from e-commerce, consulting. I do some business consulting, but then my main, like what I'm really stepping into, and JR, you and I had this conversation, exactly what you were just talking about, right? Which is God's really calling me to serve men, and we have been doing this, and especially younger guys. But what we say is I serve, I want to reach men and the women that love them. And so we're tying in marriage. And so our 3 pillars are, and everybody has their pillars, right? But man, mission, marriage. So it's health and fitness and mindset, marriage and family. And we call it getting your PhD in your wife, which is pursuing her desires, learning as much as you can about her, and then serving her in that way. And then mission, which is entrepreneurship, business, legacy, serving, mission, and in your community and that kind of thing. And so I'll tell a quick story, which is I went to a Christian men's retreat with Justin, who we talked about yesterday, JR, down in Miami. I did that for 2 days and then I did a business event for another couple of days. And this was when our primary demographic for Maxed Out Man was guys like me. I'm 53, kind of in this stage of my life. And I was like, how do I help men my age be like me? Right? Like, not exactly like me, but have some of the successes I've had. I've been married for 30 years, and have some pretty good success. During that weekend, I had 13 conversations. 12 of them were about marriage, and 11 of them were with guys under the age of 35. And God really was like, hey, what I'd like for you to do is all this stuff you've been doing for the last year, I would like you to throw all that in the trash, stop doing your podcast, rebrand your entire business, and go after an entirely new segment. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And so we are now launching a new coaching program, which we've done coaching programs in the past in January. So I'm super excited. I want to have these I want to be the dad that these young men wish that they had. And honestly, when I was 21, 22, newly married and had no idea what I was doing and almost blew the whole thing up, I wish I had had this guy in my life. And so I want to be that guy. And so that's a big part about what we do. And so that's some of the inspiration for who we are. And I want those guys to have the successes that I've had by the time they're my age at 53, if they're 23, 33, 43. And to be able to say, the way I describe my marriage is I'm happier today than I was last year, but not as happy as I'll be next year. And that's like, I want to pursue that with all my heart.
It's funny when we listen to the voice of God, because it's like we're always on this roller coaster, like, all right, pivot here, go there, and stuff like that. And I'm sure we have so many similarities in our walk, in our life, in our marriage, and our faith, and stuff like that. And one thing that came to my mind is, like, my wife, every time I come to her a new idea, she always asks me, she's like, so what do you want to be when you grow up? Because I'm always creating new offers and new things, because I'm always seeing, like, okay, I really feel God's doing this, and I feel like I'm good at hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit to really say, hey, I need you to listen here and do that. But I've also learned not to, like, scrap everything and use that to build. But I want to kind of hit on with what Amy was saying, with what you're saying as well, and I think it can apply to all of us, is everything in our life, good or bad, is to prepare us for the next mission. And it's like we go through all the different things. And so for, like, me, I've been in material handling sales for like 7 years. I loved that industry, like selling forklifts, batteries, lighting, dock doors, all the different things. And it gave me the flexibility to even with other things. And I stayed on it for so long just because I was learning and I was growing, but I was still building my own businesses and everything else, and did really well with it. But if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't know how to do, first off, I wouldn't know B2B sales, because I was always B2C. So I wouldn't know how to do B2B sales. I wouldn't know how to do government contracting. And guess what? I live outside of DC, and so everyone out here is government contracting. I wouldn't know how to even speak to that type of industry or the people. And because of that, I've had so many clients. Even today, I had a prospect to someone that I'm going to interview on our roundtable next week. One of his biggest niches are customers in the material handling space. And I'm like, oh, I can speak on that all day with you and give him tips. He's like, oh, I had no clue that this is how it worked. And And it's just cool to see how all that happens and how to even work with managers in corporate or whatever. So Amy, you going through all your stuff with eviction and flooding and all these different things just to prepare you for something else that God has planned for you. And same thing with all of us on here and Kevin. Everything that you've gone through for what you're doing is to prepare you for the next thing, even if it's to teach someone else that next stuff. It's like, why are we going through so much trials and tribulation with our spouse and our kids and our business? And we may not understand in that moment, but we just need to embrace and be like, okay, I'll just take it. I'll have peace and I'll surrender it and lay down that cross every day, knowing that God has the bigger plan for that. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I look at it and I don't, gosh, this year has been crazy for me. You know, I've been sued. I've had 2 or 3 chargebacks, which I haven't had a chargeback from a client in probably 6, 7, 8 years or something like that. And I look at them like, whatever, you know, God always provides and takes care of it. And you know, I've gone through troubles in my marriage. I've gone through, you know, issues with health and with family and myself. But I'm like, you just embrace it and just be like, all right, God, what are you doing with this? Like, what is that purpose behind what you're doing? And really seek him out for all that. So I love the stories that you guys are sharing. It really encourages me. So I appreciate that.
I will say to Amy, I have a 26-year-old and a 27-year-old. So I'm going to call the 26-year-old after this call and wonder what she's doing with her life. So no, she's awesome. She's a paramedic. She's very successful and hardworking. Amazing. So, but I love that you are so successful and driven at your age. That's amazing.
She's doing big things, which is awesome. Chuck, same question to you. Tell us what you're doing and what inspired you to get started doing what you're doing.
Wow, I'm just in a glow right now of the stories that we've just shared and heard, and the power of God working through everybody in such a way, even when we don't even know it, he's directing us to what his needs are at the time to help others, which, whew, wow. Which means that I was going to start with the statement of, I'm so blessed to be able to stand on the shoulders of greatness. I've been mentored and learned from the best of the best. And it's still an exhilarating walk because you still learn every day. You learn. And I love what you were talking about earlier, all of you, is that, doggone it, we all fail forward. You know, there are times in our life that we get brought to our knees, we fail, and we just humbly look up and we go, okay, I'm not going to do that again. So my story is a little different. My mother and father came from Holland and with $125 in their pocket to Calgary, Alberta, which is the capital of snow in Canada. And my mom didn't know English. So it was a unique upbringing. My initial language was Dutch for the first 3 years of my life till I went to kindergarten, right? So, but that just adds to your story. My dad was a very good photographer, an excellent photographer, and he got awards all over the world and did major jobs across North America. So it was my desire to become a photographer. And it was actually spurned out of laziness. And I went at 15 and took a picture and I submitted it to the National Amateur Championship and I won. And I'm going, whoa, this is easy. And they're going to pay me for it? Okay. My dad put an end to that real quick. He says, I didn't come here to give you opportunities and improve your life and let you become a photographer. I'm going, well, you're doing okay. He says, no, it ain't happening, son. So I studied commerce and law, and then I still didn't like it. So I went to art school and said, okay, Dad, I'm going to work with you. And I got different ways we could handle with the business. And he goes, no, I told you, you're not doing that. Go practice law. You're good. I says, yeah, but I don't like it. So I went to his top competitors, and one of them was kind of a nasty lady, but she phoned him up and said, Groot, what are you doing sending your son around here to learn our secrets? And here's my first lesson. There's no secrets in business. There's nothing new under the sun. We get that out of the Bible. The fact is, it's all there. We just have to read it and understand it. So he said, okay. Fast forward many years, he ended up having a heart attack in my arms at 50. And that was just when the 80s hit, which was huge trouble for businesses all over the world, 20% interest rates on loans and mortgages. And I had just arranged to get a job in marketing for a buddy of mine. And then that happened. So I ended up having to take over the family business. So it was good. God put me there to be able to support 3 families, which was great. I was reasonably young. And then we went further forward, and I ended up becoming a single father with an 8 and 10-year-old. And I'm going, okay. What am I going to do now? I got to pivot because I'm traveling around the North America, mostly teaching business to photographers and better photography techniques. So you're on call 24/7. And I'm going, okay, that ain't going to work with raising kids, and I'm not going to let anybody else do that. So I parlayed my education into a teaching degree, and I started teaching art, because in the arts, Christianity isn't really kind of a thing. So I thought I could be praying over the people and the kids and stuff like that. And it didn't take me long to realize that there's 3 kinds of kids in the school. There's the jocks, there's the really smart kids, and the kids that barely get by. And I used to have fun saying to the smart kids, you treat these kids nice, even though they're geeks. They're the ones that are going to start the businesses and make them go and hire you. And as far as you're concerned, jocks, you're going to have to learn how to do accounting and read law contracts and stuff like that, because otherwise someone's going to rip you off for all your money. So that worked out really well. All the while I was doing a lot of consulting for small businesses, because what I learned early with the photography aspect was that photographers might be great artists, and you could be a phenomenal plumber, and you could be an extraordinary doctor, you could be a fabulous lawyer, you could be all these things, but you do not know anything about business, because you're not taught that in these schools. You're taught your specialties. So, and it's really lonely. So back in the 80s, I started a men's to men's group in our church, and it just took off. We ended up having 80 guys there within 3 months. So it just blew me away. And the reason is that a lot of these were business people, and they needed community. Men need community. We didn't have a manual telling us how to deal with our PhDs, our women, how to do with our children, how do we mix work and family, and where do you go when you can't talk to your spouse about the challenges in your business, or people in the church, because they just don't understand, right? So we did that, and then I ended up teaching in high schools, 16 different business type courses, taught at colleges and universities, always being mindful of the fact that it's the one-on-one, it's the relationship where you can teach and learn. The people and who needed it were the people that were in business, because they skipped that schooling part. And the kids in school don't have the life skills. You probably remember the 2000s, where everybody was hiring MBAs left, right, and center. And it was a huge flop. The MBA knew what was going on, but they didn't know business. They didn't have experience. So anyway, this last year, God told me to pivot and start a business community. There are a few great ones out there. I've heard of one, BLN or something. I can't remember. And, I hear wonderful things about it, but it's got a limited reach. It only has like 5 million people following it. But anyway, there's a lot of people out there. So I started Christian Business Week wisdom seekers to equip and empower Christian entrepreneurs with both biblical wisdom, practical strategy, and a faith-driven community where they could share, whether they're male, female, whether they're a lawyer, or whether they're a street sweeper doing a side hack. So we want to build businesses that honor God, serve people, and create lasting kingdom impact. Because the bottom line is, one of the questions that guy asked me once at a meeting at Christian Business Wisdom Seekers, he says, Chuck, I've studied the Bible a lot. I said, great. Share with me what you've learned. And he goes, I cannot find any place in the Bible where they said business is good, and as a matter of fact, you shouldn't be in business. I'm going, oh, really? Okay. What about the women that dyed purple and sold these wonderful clothing and cloths? What about, you got talents and you make them grow? Isn't that modern day investing? Hello? God wants you to succeed. And not only that, who's going to pay the minister and the priest? Like, hello?
Yeah.
It's not that business is evil. It's not that money is evil. It's what you do with these things. So anyway, we're just not another business network. We're a movement of wisdom seekers committed to honoring God and serving people and building businesses that outlast us, because it's our legacy, right? That's to me what it's all about.
I feel like God's doing some cool things in our businesses, but also in the world. I mean, there's just been so much revival movement across the country and the world in a lot of different places. And so for what you're building, I think it's definitely needed. So I really appreciate it. It sounds like you got a lot of experience doing some really cool things, and I love how you're being obedient and surrendering to what He's called you to do, and just listening to, like, all right, what's next? So I appreciate that.
I'm starting to learn that if you don't, things don't work well.
I think I mentioned, I was talking to someone yesterday, and this will be good for all of us. It's like, God will let us do whatever we choose, the path that we want to go. It's just, do you want to have the path where you have more stress, anxiety, and overwhelmed, and you're doing it your own, you're hustling your own, and you're feeling all the weight, or do you want to have the peace knowing that He's there to guide you and lead you? And it's like, I could build a business and make a lot of money, but what sacrifices am I going to be doing along the way, and how much stress is that going to be? So I love that. Cool. I want to move on a little bit so that way we can have enough time for everything else. But for me, I'll just kind of give it a quick plug-in. I help small business owners with growth and development of their business by leveraging the power of micro one-day events and creating those in-person experiences where people can hug each other and love on each other and really build real connection with each other is powerful. And it goes behind the screen. And I really see that people are so desensitized to humanization and relationships because of computer. Now, I do love what technology has given us and allows us to do things like this and to be able to grow our relationships and get to know people. But there's something powerful about being in the room with other people. And so teaching people about how to create these experiences to really leverage, one, generating leads, closing more sales, but also increasing the retention in their community on a powerful way. It has been the fastest way that I have found to decrease the sales cycle, so shrink the sales cycle so you can close more deals faster, but also allows you to make a bigger impact faster as well. And there's not just one event that fits every single model. I've created 6 different types of events depending on the goal that you have, and then creating the offers that's going to match it. And the way that what inspired me to do it was, when I got out of the military in 2007, I own a martial arts school, and at the time I didn't know anything about business, but I hired a coach. And he showed me some very specific things. One, I had to change my own belief and my own worth and know that I was worth more than what I was even settling for. So changed my belief, fixed my offers, showed me how to create events, and then showed me how to sell at the events. That changed my life. My very first event, which was in 2008, was a Bring a Buddy, Break a Board Day. Filled a room with about 20 kids. And, by the time the event was over, I brought the parents to the back of the room. I presented the offers, and I closed $270,000 in new contract sales from that one event. And I've been able to duplicate this process over and over and over again, not just for myself, but with other clients. And I'll share a testimonial later on. But it doesn't fit just one industry. if it's almost any industry that you do. It's just you got to get creative to figure out who is it that you want to attract, what is the offer that you want to deliver, and what I call your next step offer. What is your next step offer that you want to lead them to? And you create an experience that feeds that next step offer. And so I've helped dog walkers, I've helped dog breeders, I've helped attorneys, coaches, speakers, nutritionists, realtors, real estate investors I've helped with. I mean, it doesn't matter what industry it is, it works for everyone. So anyone that's looking out there to help, wanting help with one-day events, I'm the guy to be able to help you with it. So let's move on to the next question. And for this one, take about 2 minutes. That way we all have enough time to get around and to be able to share. And I'll go back to Mr. You, since you were sitting there quietly patient. And the question is, all right, you don't want to go first? All right, we'll go to Kevin. Kevin, I'll have you go first, man. Kevin, the question that I'm going to ask is, what is your 2026 growth strategy that you're going to do to help feed your business?
Well, ironically enough, you and I had a great conversation yesterday. We will be doing some one-day events. I'm super excited about that. And we are currently using commission only setters and closers as part of our strategy. Redoing my podcast. I'm going to start doing podcasts again and then just building more content. But I'm really excited about doing the one-day events. God has given me kind of a superpower in front of a crowd, but I've never used it to sell anything, which is ironic, right? Other than, really just giving out knowledge. So I'm going to try to come down your way also in Florida there, and we will see if we can do some events down there. I'm just going to basically follow JR around for the next year and just, pick up his leftovers from the clients.
Yeah, but you're doing some really cool things. I'm excited for your offerings and the impact that you're going to make in the world. So that's beautiful. I love it. And events work, guys. If you're not doing events, you need to get in front of people. So, all right, Amy, let's go to you. What is your 2026 growth strategy that you're going to be focusing on in 2026?
I'm going to be focusing on rebranding myself and doing a lot more content to be able to bring in leads. I definitely want to do the events, but like I said, I don't know if so many people will come. So my focus is rebranding, trying to, get the audience to understand what I'm doing, what I'm offering, to be able to create those types of events as well.
Yeah, you know what? That is a misconception, a belief that we tell ourselves, like, no one's going to come. That's why people don't host events, because they keep themselves paralyzed, thinking that no one's going to show up. And the reality is, if you create that space, people are going to show up. But the beauty of it, you don't need a massive room. If you get a handful of 5 to 30 people in that room, you can make a huge impact. You guys ever hear of Tony Robbins? You guys know Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins?
Yes.
Yeah. So years ago, probably 15 years ago, I heard him tell a story that when he was like not a known individual, starting out in consulting and doing what he does, I don't know the location, but he was showing up to do an event at one place, expecting thousands of people to be wrapped around the corner, ready to walk into the building, and for him to be able to just show up and start. And I forget the number, but I believe it was around 15 people were there. That was it. 15 people. And you guys know Tony, when he gets up there and talks, he gives his all at every single event that he does. And when he was telling the story, he said he brought all 15 people to the front of the room, and he served them like there was thousands of people in that room. And that was the start of his journey. And we get in our own head with thinking like, man, I wish there was more people. Oh man, this event just failed because it wasn't there. Guys, I had a client of mine, this is going on probably 6 years ago, that he would help nonprofits raise funds. His name's Jake out of Indiana. Nonprofits raise funds. I was working with him for 6 months on this event, and he would tell me every week they would meet and be like, oh yeah, I did this. And a week or two leading, like before his event, he's like, JR, I got to be honest. I haven't done anything that you said, and I got one person coming, and I need your advice, and I'm really thinking about canceling it. I said, hell you are. You're not canceling that event. That person's counting on you to show up, and just because you didn't do the work, you're still going to be present. Guys, he showed up. He closed a $30,000 contract with that one person in that room. $30,000 from that one person. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if you got one person or if you got 1,000 people in that room. The people that are in that room need to be there for that reason. And I'll tell you, the smaller the rooms, the more impact I've made and the more money I've ever made in the smaller rooms. I mean, gosh, last year alone, I did a workshop in November. I had 12 people there, and I closed. It was like $85,000 or $87,000 from that one room last year. And then I did a big mastermind. Same month, it was 2 weeks after that workshop. I did a big mastermind in Orlando, and I had 38 people there, and I closed more than $150,000 in contract sales from that one event. And so you don't need a lot of people in the room to do very well. And so you, Amy, telling yourself, saying, well, I might wait to do the event because I got to bring the awareness. No, you create the experience. Here's the beauty about events, and this is for all of you guys to know. When you have something to invite people to, your content changes because now you have a purpose behind the things you're talking about. So your social media changes because now your social media is all about the experience that you're creating to invite people to. And so, like, or Mr. You're doing podcasting. Now your podcasting changes because now you got an incredible experience to lead people to. So don't go in that headspace thinking, I can't do this because no one's going to show up or no one's going to do whatever. You are worth it. God already qualified you, and people that need to be there will show up. And the more that you do them, the better it's going to be. So, Chuck, tell us your 2026 growth strategies. Give us about 2 minutes. Tell us what you're going to be focusing on going into the new year.
Number one, I'm rebranding Optimizing Profits, which is my one website on business. And it's got tons and tons of material. Number two, I'm rebranding my Christian Business Wisdom Seekers and creating global communities from there. I love to do the one-day events because they're golden. The energy in the room, like you say, whenever you go into a room, there's always this energy. Amy, are you concerned about not having stuff to talk about?
No, I have tons of things to talk about. It's just I've tried, for example, like a webinar for people to join. Sometimes, when I make appointments with people, they just don't show up. Not a lot of people showed up to my webinar. So it's just the commitment of the individuals
Yeah.
that
I'll get
I'm
5 people to
hesitating
show up to a
to.
webinar, but I'll get 20, 30 people to show up in person every single time.
100%.
So
Buyer, liar. They all say they're going to come to a webinar, but it's too easy to slough off. So in face, it's different. You're paying for a ticket to be there. Yeah, no. So anyway, that's from there. I'll be opening a lot more different courses so that instead of doing one-on-one all the time, I'll be able to work with a whole group of people and then tier that up into the mastermind where I get all you experts coming in and talking to them as well. So
cool. Love that. Awesome. Mr. Yu, what are you
Yes,
going to
sir.
be focusing on in 2026? What is that golden strategy that you're like, you know what, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is the trend I'm following and to help you making a bigger impact.
Golden strategy. I love it. Well, in regards to the workshops and the events, one-day events, I know that I have to step into that realm. It's been mentioned to me quite a few times in the past 3 months. As a matter of fact, that's how I met you. So I know that it's something I have to focus on. I have nothing planned right now, but I know I have to start getting into it. And I can't afford to wait until 2027 to do that. So it has to happen next year, which I'm open to do what got to be done to get that going. But in regards to what I can control, I guess you would say my BHAG is to have 100 conversations in the upcoming year. And that's not just for podcasting, because it's really easy for me. I have communities where I get people who solicit me as a guest or me to be a host or what have you. So that's easy for me to do that. But the 100 conversations are for more of my coaching practice. I recognize that I can put stuff on social media, which I hate to do. I can put out a whole bunch of promotions. I don't like doing any of that stuff because it's not effective to me. But if I get 100 people in a room and share with them what I do, what I've seen, and who I helped, I know I can accomplish the growth of my client base. So I haven't done that very well in 2025. I was doing a whole lot of online promotions, and it wasn't doing me any good. So in 2026, even this month, starting now, I'm going into more of as many conversations as I can have. 100 is my BHAG, but if I could do more than that, that's great. I think 100 is manageable. Well, it stretches me enough, but it's not too easy for me because of my schedule and everything. So if I get 100 conversations in, I know I can have at least 8 to 10 clients out of those 100. So that's my goal. Also, don't forget about the workshop part. You're the master at that, man. So looking for some help on that front, man. Workshops, one-day events, webinars, Amy. I want to learn from you guys because it got to get done. That's how this coaching practice is going to grow. So appreciate the support and you guys sharing and being transparent with your ups and downs. So thank you for doing that.
Man, I love that. I love the trend for it, and hopefully, I inspired you guys to be able to do one
Without
day
question.
events because
Without
it's been
question.
the one thing that's changed my life. And I had to admit, I was I didn't start making my one day events as a top of an offer until beginning of last year because I thought everyone was like doing events. I didn't realize how scared people were of doing events because they just didn't know where to start, and so they never get started. Or like what Amy's saying, that's a common thing. Is like, is anyone going to show up? And so they just it's helping transfer that belief that you can do it and you need to do it for others. So I just love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm usually either hosting or at an event either 2 or 3 times a month, every month, and I love it. So. And that's my strategy for going to the new year. My strategy is to do one day events, workshops, and I want to do at least two a month, every single month, somewhere in the country, and whether I'm speaking at one or hosting my own. So I'm doing that. But then another thing that I'm going to be focusing on, which is kind of similar to a lot of you guys, is I'm going to be launching a mastermind for Christian business leaders, men, and I'm probably it's probably my first big retreat. It might be November next year, so I can have time to build up with it. Mainly because when I went to the facility that I want to do it at, the first availability was November next year. So I was like, crud. I really want to do it in the spring, but I might do some smaller stuff in the spring that builds up to it. But helping entrepreneurs, really leverage the power of these experiences. And, I want to piggyback what Chuck said. Webinars are great, but the engagement on webinars is like they're only retaining so much, and it's so easy to pop on a webinar, turn your screen off, and not even pay attention to what's going on. And so, Amy, as many events as I've done, I have not had any success with webinars, and I've been doing webinars since probably 2017 or 18. And like the most I think I've ever gotten to a webinar is 40 or 50 people, and most of them usually not even engage. I mean, gosh, I have people show up and they're cooking a meal in the background. It's like, come on, show up and be present. But when I get people in the room, they can feel my conviction in my voice and what I'm doing, and really take action and hear and feel. And because you have to, the biggest reason why people buy is because of how you make them feel. I mean, it's all fear based. I mean, people don't move forward because they're scared, but you have to bring out that emotion and let them know, saying, "I can do this." And so that's my biggest strategy, and I will preach it from top of the top of this building, saying that every single person needs to be hosting events, some sort of in-person experiences. Events don't need to look like workshops or summits. Events could be like going to a happy hour or creating a coffee time or creating like I did a big bonfire in my community. I rented the HOA, and it was a combination of residents, local business owners, and my team all there. There was more than 75 people that showed up. I put up 3 big bonfires as a potluck. It cost me like nothing because everyone brought all the food, and they stayed for like 5, 6 hours in the middle of the night. It was the most coolest thing. You go through our neighborhood and see it. I live in a pretty wealthy community, and you'll go through there, and it's just like, what the heck is going on here? You think it's like a big frat party with all the kids running around, but it was just so much energy and no alcohol. It was all like really great conversations, but because of that, it fosters relationships, and you can do events like that. It doesn't have to be a workshop lesson teaching. It can be a way of just creating the space that allows people to connect and to grow and build community. And so that's what I love most about events is just building those relationships. So I'm going to go to you, Amy, right now. Or I talked to you, Chuck, already. Everyone had a chance to share their 2026 strategy, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Amy, tell us one of your best client success stories. Even if it's just you, tell us one of your best success stories.
Well, my best client success story, I would say it's my sister. So I helped her invest into real estate while she was going through a tough time, in nursing school. So of course our family didn't have the cash to be able to pay for her nursing school, so she was doing it all herself. And then I suggested her, hey, why don't you buy your first investment property, rent it out, and use some of that profit to be able to help pay for her nursing school. So I did help her and I guided her to buy a condo, and that condo helped her generate $1,000 per month to be able to pay for a portion of her nursing school. So that's a pretty big success story for my family.
That's huge. That's life changing. That's awesome. Congratulations. And you
Trying
proved
to do
that.
that with other women.
Yeah. Well, you need to get rid of that word tried, and you are going to help other women. So just just
Amen.
make it
She's
happen.
already doing it.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
already done it, and you just continue to duplicate that same process. So you already got the system. That's awesome. Kevin, share one of your best client success stories. I know you got many, but share one.
Yeah, so this one I'll make really short. And as a guy that became a client later, at that event down in Miami that I was just talking about, just because it's pertinent, but he and I had literally like a 14-minute conversation. We were talking about his marriage, we were talking about his business. He runs like 5 or 6 detail shops in Houston, and was running them all himself. And he made the statement, my wife has been begging me to work out with her, but I just haven't taken the time. And so I asked him, I said, okay, tomorrow, here's what we're going to do, Louise. I'm going to give you 2 choices. You either get to keep your businesses or you get to keep your marriage and family. Which one do you want?
Okay.
Obviously, he gave me the right answer. He texted me the next week a picture of him and his wife, working out together at 9:30 in the morning. He had already hired 2 managers for 2 of his facilities, and he had decided he was going to close the other one. Like the dude literally changed his life and that's a God thing. That's a life change thing from one question that took less than 30 seconds to ask. And I love that story because it just shows the impact of one conversation.
That's powerful. I love that. Chuck, tell us one client success story.
I was hired by a small group of medical professionals to create a health center utilizing different modalities and everything from medical to natural procedures. And the lady that was doing the cranial sacral portion of it, I don't know how to say it anymore, but anyway, she was a major proponent of this group, but she was really quite unhappy, and her stress was just through the roof. And I started just peeling back the onion, and I said to her, what's going on? She says, well, I have an 11-year-old son who's highly epileptic, and I keep getting calls from the school, and I keep getting him in the hospital, and his dad does nothing, blah 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 blah, and it's breaking my heart. And I said, oh, okay. So I came to her the next day after thinking about that challenge. I said, listen, why don't we just put a satellite office out there? We were in Sydney, which is a small town outside of Victoria, British Columbia. And I said, where's your home? She said, in Victoria. I said, we're going to open up an office for you in your home. It's really quite simple. We'll go in there, we'll redo a room, we'll make a pleasant entryway, and you will working out there so you're with your son all the time. And lo and behold, she said, after a week, she goes, yeah, let's do that. A couple things happened. That we opened up a few more little satellites just like that under the umbrella of the major company. The major company just grew exponentially. She was getting more clients because she was in a bigger center, and she was able to be with her son, and the stress level just went, and God was in that too. I mean, it just that.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I love that. That's awesome. Congratulations. Mr. You.
This is the only time in this call that I regret being last now.
Just trying to give you time to think,
Yeah, too much time apparently. But in regards to my client success story, 2 caveats. One, this is more of a litmus test about the rebranding and the new areas I'm going into in coaching. I've been a coach in a personal and business genre for about 25 years. I kind of moved away from that. Now I'm in a high performance place. I'm talking to faith and community leaders and people who are specifically men who are dealing with men type issues. But what's awesome about this particular situation is that I kind of scrapped all of the online promotions like I was telling you guys earlier. It was kind of scary to get rid of the low hanging fruit, if you will, and start going into this realm. So I had a conversation with a young man of perspective. It was about an hour and a half, no selling, even though the urge was there to try to push toward, come on, join me, let me coach you. I pushed that stuff back, pushed back the darkness, if you will, and I just kind of just continue to ask questions, dig deeper into what the why is for him. And it was a long conversation, but we burrowed down past all of the ancillary junk that everybody that's a coach, you know what I'm talking about. We burrowed past all of that stuff. And if you guys watch a good show that you like a lot on TV and it says to be continued and how much you hate that, that's kind of how this story is, because we didn't actually finalize an actual deal, but it's more of those, the guy trying to find ways to give me money. So he gave me some donations in the interim, but he wants to be a client and he's really adamant about that. From, you know, people change their mind, you know how that is, but I kind of believe that he's really serious about it because of the changes that he experienced in his life, because of what he heard and the conclusions he came to during the conversation. So it's a to be continued success story, but I'm really proud of it because it shows that, you know what, I can thrive in this genre without having to be out here doing what so many online coaches, if you will, are doing, promoting, selling, begging, manipulating. I don't have to do any of those things to have somebody impacted by the light that God has allowed me to lead, and the insight and the wisdom that God's given me that they can apply to their life and see actual value and changes in their life. So it's to be continued, but that's my best success story right now, guys. Thank you for letting me share.
I
No,
feel called out,
that's
Mr.
beautiful.
You. I don't know
No,
about
sir.
that. Like,
No,
yeah,
sir. I'm
just
calling myself
kidding.
out, brother. You're good, man.
That's
It's just
awesome.
me.
That's awesome.
It's me.
That's a beautiful story. For me, one of my best client success stories is, about 5 years ago, I had a client of mine, and she was an online personal trainer, but she was switching to helping like women and more online branding, like Instagram and stuff like that. And it was a beginning of December time frame. She was already planning to do an event later that month. And when I took a look at her offers, what she was doing, and her messaging, it was horrible. I mean, I was like, at the most, you're probably going to make about $5,000 from here, but it was all over the place. There was no, I mean, here's a common mistake that people make. They have their next step offer, and their training doesn't do anything to complement that. And so it was like you're talking about one thing, but your offer is totally off in there. And not just that, it just didn't match the market. And so she was selling her next step offer way below market prices. I think she probably would have sold $5,000 at the most at that time. And so I switched her offers. I changed out her entire presentation of her event. And I changed her follow system, her automation, everything she needed to do it for. And she closed $109,000 from that one event. It was new contract sales, so it wasn't cash collected at that one event, but it was new contract sales going into the new year of $109,000 that she was able to serve. And that was the launch of her new offer and her new program for getting into that new space, because she was in that transition. She was in transition from working with another business partner and being a personal trainer to the online branding. And she's still out there killing it online and doing a phenomenal job. So super proud of her. We're still good friends and talking on social, and help her. I got her a paid speaking gig last year, so that was really cool to be able to do that. So I love sharing that. I love sharing stories like that. I mean, I had another client, attorney, that closed $23,000 beginning of the year at one of his events, and it's just awesome to see how one event can really transform your offers and your experience for what you're doing. So if you guys are looking to get fast cash, I'm always going to lean on doing events because it's the best way to launch a new program or offer. So cool, Amy. Where's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn would be the best way. My name is Jaime Pasos Cuna. Let me see if I can put the link here in the chat.
I
Cool.
already followed you already. So
Yay!
yeah,
On
I
LinkedIn?
found you. Yeah, on LinkedIn.
Okay,
So
great, because you can also follow me on Instagram, but you said
Did
one,
that
so
too.
so
yes,
I try to follow all of y'all.
so
yes.
so for those of you that are listening and you're not actually seeing the chat or anything, just spell her name Hamie. It's Hamie, and then Passos is Passos. So,
I
but you
put the
do
link in the chat as well.
cool, awesome, appreciate that. Cool, Mr. Yu, where's the best place for people to get in touch with you?
I'm on all the socials, but LinkedIn's best for me. I'm trying to like I said, rebrand, hire a professional coaching profile. So LinkedIn's probably the best route for me. LinkedIn they call me Mr. U, Mistayu. You can find me there. Or on all the social, whatever social you use is fine, but LinkedIn would be the best route for me.
Cool. Kevin.
I'll put that in there too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Go to maxedoutman.com/coaching. That's the easiest way to learn more about this collective thing we have going on. I'm on, and there's links to everything else from there. So that's the easiest way to learn. You can apply for the collective at that point if you want, or just learn more and jump on a call with me.
Love that. Mr. Chuck.
Chuck Groot at the LinkedIn or Chuck Groot at Facebook. Keep it simple.
Awesome. And for me, if you guys want to get a copy of my free one-day events conversion blueprint, you can go to theoneDayEvents.com. That's theoneDayEvents.com. That's the best place to start with me. From there, after you guys download it, you'll have a chance to book a call with me, and love to connect and see what I can do to serve and help you guys grow your guys' events. So theoneDayEvents.com. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this call. I hope that you guys found it beneficial and helpful. And for those of you guys listening to this, whether it's today or 5 or 10 years from now, make sure you connect with all of us, and hopefully you gain something of value that can help you and your business grow, or something inspirational that impact your life. So until next time, Simplify.